You're listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 3. Today's episode is all about nurturing the relationship with your partner while planning a wedding. I'm sure it doesn't need to be said, but planning a wedding is a lot of work, and it can be stressful at times. So how do you not let it take over your lives? How do you plan your wedding but not lose focus of your relationship? What can you do to continue nurturing your relationship during the planning process? Well, let's find out. You are listening to Love Unplugged, a podcast focused on love in all its forms. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon, hopeful romantic and founder of Revue Blanc. I've found that too often love is set aside or taken for granted, and we tend to forget how to care for ourselves and our relationships in the day-to-day chaos. So let's slow down, tune in, and begin our journey of rediscovering love. From honest heart-to-heart conversations with real couples and knowledgeable guests, to deep dive reviews of new products and services that will help you feel beautiful inside and out. If you're looking for relatable advice or wanting to be inspired by real-life love stories, you've come to the right place. Without further ado, let's get to it. Hi everyone, I am here with Stephanie Reitzma, wedding planner extraordinaire, owner of Sweetheart Events, a wedding planning company here in Vancouver, and relationship builder. I met Stephanie last year where we chatted with her about her business, her experience planning weddings, but ultimately what stood out for me was her approach to what is truly important, the relationship. When planning out who I wanted to have as guests on this podcast, I knew I had to include Stephanie. I love her approach to wedding planning, and I'm so excited that we get to sit down and chat more about it. So let's get to it. So welcome, Stephanie. I am so honored to have you as my guest, and I'm so excited that we get to dive deeper into what you offer your couples. But before we start, I would love for you to share a little bit about your story so that those who don't know you yet get to know a little bit more.
Well, hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for having me today. It is a true honor to not only be interviewed, but to do this interview again with you. So basically, Sweetheart Events, we launched in 2013. I have been in the wedding industry for about 10 years now. A highly reputable wedding planning firm took a chance on me and saw potential. And here I am today, almost 6 years in. Holy cow.
That's a long time.
It is. I think,
amazing.
I think entrepreneurs, they're just so go, and they don't take that time to actually reflect and celebrate those mini successes.
Yes.
So just saying 6 out loud is it's pretty remarkable. So basically, Sweetheart Events, we're all about curating memorable celebrations that are wildly fun and true to each couple. We're a team of 4, and we specialize in taking our couples from yes to I do. All levels of wedding planning. I know we're going to dive into the nitty-gritty of what I do, but just lots of planning, design, and lots of happy dances and all that mushy-gushy stuff.
Can't wait to talk about this. So today we're going to be focusing on the relationship parts. So how did you come to the realization that you needed to change a part of your focus when planning your couple's weddings?
Yeah, so when it comes to working with our couples, every couple is different. You have to adapt differently to every couple, whether they're locally or whether they're far away and they're flying into Vancouver and this is their destination for their wedding. You have to adapt to them. And again, you can see the trend in my business. We are all about relationships. But what I was finding was couples they were investing so much in their wedding, but they weren't investing enough in their marriage. And so every time that we would sit and meet, although they were so excited to get married, when I would ask them about life goals and where they saw their marriage, sometimes they would draw a blank. Mm-hmm. And, we live in such a busy go society nowadays that I feel that it's hard to just hit pause on the go and just take a moment and reflect in that blur of life and just take a moment to be yeah, it's us. And this is what we're about to do, the next chapter of our lives. And just take that moment to be just them. So
I think weddings, there's so much pressure on a couple to have a certain type of wedding.
There's so many expectations.
So many expectations from like close friends, family, etc., and even ones that are like put on themselves.
Absolutely.
And that becomes their sole focus that entire year or even more, depending on how long they've given themselves to have their wedding.
Yeah.
And they completely lose sight of what the actual purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean, not every couple, but yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, women grow up dreaming about their wedding, and how can you ever fulfill that expectation when, as a little girl, you always dreamed of your dress and what the flowers would look like? I mean, personally, I was never that person, but really. But I really wanted to just create more a personalized approach to wedding planning and just making planning more fun. You know, less decisions, less hard work, and more like just
enjoying the planning
process.
process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what types of issues were you seeing develop between the couples during the planning process? What types of things are common that you can see kind of come up?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say issues, but rather distractions or just moments of burnout from everyday life. So what I was just talking about, we all experience it. So planning a wedding or not, I noticed that couples were prioritizing their relationship less and less. Which is so easy to do. I mean, you come home from your 9 to 5, you're absolutely exhausted. You have no idea, like, what your partner is like, their work environment that day, or were they yelled at, or, you know, or were they absolutely celebrated? Like, you have no idea what their day was. And so they come home, and sometimes the last thing they want to do is send 100 emails to photographers. Hey, are you available for our date? Or can you send me your rates and packages? And so I was finding that a lot of my couples just needed a little bit of a push to prioritize their relationship a little bit more.
I like that. So what are some things that you created to help put the focus more on the relationship with your couples? So this is the good part for me.
How I helped my couples overcome these things, I guess, was challenging my couples to do a date night. So I am mushy-gushy, a total romantic at heart. And so when I'm in a relationship, I love planning those date nights. Definitely some are completely over the top, but for the most part, like, some of them can be at home and a Netflix and chill. And you know, they don't have to be like carriage rides around the park and ridiculous.
Over the top.
Yes. And so it's really exciting to see how excited my couples get when they receive their planning checklist for the month, and then they get this date night challenge for, hey, let's go and do this, or I challenge you to do that. So yeah, it's really exciting.
So let's talk a little bit more about the date night challenge. I kind of want to understand how this all works. Like, do you send them something, and like, what exactly do you send them? Do they come up with the ideas? Do you give them a list of ideas? Like, do they have to report back how it went, that they actually did it? How does that all work?
I believe it was like 4 or 5 years ago, actually. I noticed that a lot of my couples, I would ask them like, hey, what are your plans for this weekend? And you know, they were just doing work, or they were, you know, going out with friends. And I was like, well, when was the last time you did a date night? What did you do? Or I was single at the time and I just needed date night inspiration. So I was like, hey, what do you guys do? So I thought, you know, why not make like planning checklists more fun? Instead of, hey, we gotta pay this person and we gotta pick this color palette. And so every time I would send my clients a checklist for the month, it would be like, all right, so these are our goals for the month. This is what we're gonna tackle. This is what we've already tackled. And then I would throw in a little bonus of, all right, for your date night challenge, like, you're gonna recreate your first date, or you're gonna wear your outfit that you wore on your first date and just get all like the butterflies going. Maybe you write each other love notes, or you start your vows and you recite them to one another, or you know, make a living room fort and you order pizza. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself and I'm just sharing so many ideas, but I mean, how many times have you sat down with your partner and asked, what's your favorite movie? And have you actually seen that movie together? And so you create like a living room for it, you order pizza, and you just grab some drinks, and you do like a movie marathon, and you watch all of your favorite movies together. What was your favorite childhood movie? All of that. And so you're really connecting with one another. So basically, the checklist, that would be like the main way that I share that with my couples, because everyone is asking like about your list. And so this is like business owner talk, but everyone's asking about your list and how big is your email list. And so I was like, okay, gosh, I guess all of this that I'm doing isn't enough. I need an email list. Mm-hmm. And so there's so much spam that hits people's inbox. And so I wanted to give someone like something exciting to look forward to.
It's more valuable, right? Like
absolutely.
They're going to enjoy getting that in their emails.
And just think of like being at work on a Friday afternoon and you cannot wait until the clock strikes 12. Or strikes
12. That's an early day.
Strikes 5. And you just can't wait to leave. And you get this email and it's a date night challenge. And you text your partner and just see like how excited you are. And you go out on a spontaneous date night. So I love that I've just started this email list.
I think that's awesome. So I know you gave us some ideas for date nights, but have you ever gotten any crazy ideas back from your clients that they've done that you were kind of like really surprised about? Like what are some really clever date nights that you've kind of heard of from your couples?
Well, again, I mean, I think everyone should just opt into my email list because I have 10 of my favorite stay-at-home date night ideas. So as soon as you sign up, those get delivered to your inbox.
So I'm signing up. That's for sure.
I hope so. I'd love to have you, and I'd love to challenge you and your partner every month. But I guess like some that we've done is in the past, before this was like an email list thing, we've partnered with vendors. And for example, we did a date night giveaway. We partnered with a photographer, a catering company, a makeup artist, a videographer. And so what we did was we chose like a beautiful West Coast backdrop and we selected one lucky couple and they got a photo session. She got her makeup done. They had like a candlelight dinner on Acadia Beach,
wow.
Right near UBC. And, you know, forever they have these memories. And that couple is actually getting married later this year. So
that's exciting.
Yeah. So it's so exciting to just like be a part of those date nights. And moving forward, I definitely want to partner with more vendors and just do more of these like luxurious like date night giveaways. But I mean, not every challenge has to be like that. Not every date night needs to be like that. You can do something like super simple as well.
Who doesn't love a Netflix night in? Like, honestly.
Right? I know, top knot sweatpants.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is amazing. So I'm sure you've heard feedback from your couples on how things have gone. Have you ever heard like crazy success stories from it? Like it's really brought them really closer together. They've noticed a difference.
Well, some feedback. I mean, everyone knows that I'm totally mush and gush, so some totally think I'm like totally cheesy and out to lunch with some of these, but the majority of my couples absolutely love these date night challenges. It's something that they definitely look forward to every month. So they're kind of like, all right, what do we have to do with our wedding planning? All right, so this is what we're doing for date night and this is what I'm wearing. And so they get like really excited about it. And again, like not everything is like crazy. I mean, another example is like you could go to the grocery store and you have to pick up like 2 random items to cook with, and then you go home and you grab a bottle of wine and you make dinner together with these like mysterious items.
I love that.
Yeah, and you just like you have like a date night at home and you light some candles, turn on some music, and so you can have a lot of fun with it.
I love that. That's a great. I'm a really bad cook, so that would make a night even more interesting to see what I could come up with.
Well, I mean, some of my couples, they just go with like Fresh Prep or HelloFresh or one of those.
Okay.
But I mean, we could go next level and go to the grocery store and get a few fun items. But a lot of my couples, they'll send me like a photo on Instagram, or they'll Snapchat me, or they'll just send me like a quick text being like, oh my God, this is what we did for our date night challenge. And some of them are just so sweet.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's nice that you get to be a part of it and to see like what they came up with or what they did for the challenge.
Yeah, and I think they really enjoyed the main rule of like the no wedding planning talk.
Mm.
So they're not allowed to talk about those decisions. They really just have to take in that moment and just remember why they're doing this and just take a break from the stress of planning and decision making.
That's really good. I like that.
Thank you.
So I love this whole date night stuff, but I know you do so much more than date nights. So what are some other things you offer to clients aside from the wedding planning services and date night challenges?
So when I launched Sweetheart Events in 2013, I had a business coach, and she always asked me, what are you going to do aside from weddings? And my heart wasn't really pulled towards corporate. And so I saw proposals becoming quite the hot trend in LA and New York and starting in Toronto, but there was nothing in Western Canada. And so I brought proposal planning to Western Canada almost 6 years ago. And we have 2 packages where generally we work with men all over the world, sometimes women, and we are more like a concierge to them. That's our approach. So they're either flying into Vancouver. So it's like if we were to fly to Maui or something and you wanted to pop the question on the beach, you need someone there because you don't really have your family or friends there to support you in that. And this is such a big milestone in your life. And so, most of the time you just get one chance at doing it. So we definitely want to make sure that it's being pulled off without a hitch. So we have 2 packages. Basically, we have a proposal in a box. So that's kind of more like for your DIY, starting at $500. You get champagne and like our champagne flutes, like our future hubby, future wifey. We can mix and match depending on who your partner is. And we'll hand deliver it to wherever you're popping the question, and you're given guidance to make sure that you're set up for success. Our other package is basically think bachelor date. It's all set up, ready to go, and you just walk into the scene, get down on one knee, and then I, tear it all down, and you go off and celebrate your engagement. So we do proposal planning. We've also seen a shift in the industry, so I know that we weren't really going to talk about weddings, but I've definitely seen a shift in the industry, and there's a lot of focus on elopements right now. Mm-hmm. And either couples are choosing to elope for budget reasons, or they want to kind of get away from the stress of planning a wedding. And so we've been seeing a lot more inquiries for that. And I recently launched West Coast Elopements with a very dear friend, photographer and florist. And the great thing is, which I'm going to talk about, is now I officiate weddings. So I'm an officiant with Vancouver Officiant as of January this year. And so it's a huge honor to be there, not only to send like the bride down the aisle or the couple down the aisle, but to be there at the beginning of their marriage. And so that's a huge value that I offer with my elopement packages. So not only am I planning and handling the logistics of your elopement, but I'm also the one to marry you. So
that's so exciting because you have the perfect personality to be able to officiate.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people say I have the voice for it.
Yes, you do.
And I whisper, and the people 100 meters from me can hear me. So you can save a lot of money by hiring me because you don't need a mic. So,
no audio system.
Yes. So we do proposal planning, we do weddings, we do elopements, and now I officiate. So
you do it all, basically.
Yes, yeah. I do it all.
You are the relationship queen in all aspects.
Well, I mean, maybe we'll add matchmaker soon to the mix.
There you go. You could start your own app that matches people.
I'm kidding.
All right, lastly, do you have any final tips or advice you have for couples based on your experience to help them get through that whole planning process without losing touch of their relationship?
I'm going to bring the focus on communication. I think too many couples go into wedding planning with so much excitement, which I think every couple should. But setting up those expectations and having those honest conversations. What is your budget? How are you going to pay for that? Are you willing to go into debt, like entering your marriage by paying for this wedding celebration? What are those family traditions? Speak to your family. We want to be respectful to past traditions or cultural traditions. And so making sure that everyone's on the same page. Again, just making sure that you are setting those times to just really focus on you guys. Maybe it's no wedding planning on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and just really respecting that. Again, like focusing on your relationship first, and your guests will be super excited to be there. I don't think you have to focus so much on how the guests will get to your wedding or all of those
little details.
Absolutely. I think don't get caught up in, the invitations and if they're this color or that color or this font or that font. Really just focus on the experience for you guys. I think at the end of the day, it's not just your wedding, but it's both of your weddings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for taking the time to share such great advice with us. It is so important for couples to remember what is truly important at the end of the day and to keep their focus on that. And I love how you are helping your couples do that. So if you want to learn more about Stephanie and her wedding planning company, Sweetheart Events, you are in for a treat. As mentioned before, I had the pleasure of Spotlight featuring her earlier this year, so head on over to the blog and check it out. I'll include the link in the show notes for you. So thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to revueblanc.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another Unplugged conversation.